Hey, Kansas. Kansas Helen here. I'm about to interview Stacy Rogers, who is a Republican running for governor in the Republican primary. And I just wanted to do a little longer intro real quick before I start interviewing her so that I don't have to waste her time explaining what she already knows. If you're in the Wichita area, last year you probably saw an online beef, I don't know what else to call it, between her and I, and due to a restaurant endorsing her, and I'm not going to get into all of it if you saw it. And I obviously would not vote for her for sure. But I think if you're going to vote red, if you're going to vote in the primary, you should vote for Stacy because the way she handled refusing to pay the $10,000, refusing to pay for her rightful spot on that stage, because I've seen it on the Democrat side too. They equate the dollar amount that is raised to your effort. We're not going to support you. You have to show us the proper effort. And what they mean is you got to raise the most money. They're getting closer and closer just to outright saying that. But that's what they mean on both sides. You got to raise the most money if you want to support you. And monies don't equate votes. If somebody only got $3,000, but they got it from $5 donations, I would say that is more votes than somebody that got three $1,000 donations. I get it, but at the same time, it does not mean lack of effort. Because I have seen Ann Paracar and Cindy Holscher and a lot of people who are not outraising their opponents putting in way more effort. And the same goes for Stacy Rogers. She is everywhere all the time. And I'm very lucky I was able to pin her down for an hour. We've been trying to do an interview for a while, but she is so busy because she's out there talking to people, knocking doors herself, going to every single event she can probably get her hands on to talk to as many voters herself as she can. And that's what we need. I don't care how much money. You need to convince voters, you need to convince people, and you need to be in there for the right reasons. And I may not agree with her solutions or her policies, but I do believe she's in there for the right reasons. And so I wanted to interview her. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I know you're all over the place.
Yes, but I'm thankfully home for the next couple days
Yeah.
until the primary.
I just wanted to talk to you about the primary. I've been telling people that if I were voting in this primary, you're the one I would vote for after
I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, after what I saw at the debate and how that all went. And then I've seen that on the other side too, where they support, first of all, it feels different this year that they're supporting people sooner than they would have. And then basically they're equating money to effort, and they're not putting in enough effort. And I know that's not true of these candidates. They're out there like you, they're knocking doors. They have teams of people that are volunteering for them to do that. And they may not be raising a lot of dollars, but they're out there, they're talking to people, there's effort.
And there's something to be said for hard work, and we've forgotten the value of that. And I've said this many times that I'd like to see a limit on the amount of money that can be spent on a campaign, because it would force those candidates out to talk with people, and you would be able to tell fairly quickly whether you could support that candidate or not, versus them hiding behind campaign ads and mailers and things where you just go, sounds good.
Yeah. But crafted videos, talking points. Yeah, I think people are getting tired of it. I hope they are. It feels that way. Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, we may not agree on the solutions or what the problems are sometimes, but I know that you are doing this for the right intentions, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when I traveled through all the counties going town to town, I think I've only not been in 5 towns in this entire state. So it's a lot of towns. And when I went into the area, I didn't go in for special events and special rooms with special people. I did those too, but when I was really going through the counties, I didn't know who I was going to encounter, if I was going to encounter a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, but that really wasn't important to me. It was important that they were Kansans. And so I did run into people that did not agree with me. And I don't think that disagreement is a bad thing. It gives, at a minimum, it gives you the perspective of how someone may have arrived at their thought process. We all have our own experiences. We all come from different spaces. And my sister and I grew up in the same household, 6 years apart, and we have vastly different experiences in the same house. So you have to take those kind of things into account. And so when I'm talking with people and I just have expressed what I'm doing this for and why, I think there's a mutual feeling across the board of people are sick and tired of career politicians that are messing the state up. It doesn't really matter what side they're on. And I don't even think we're really looking at a true red and blue division anymore. We're looking at power and money against the people. And that's really what my entire thing has been about, is giving a voice back to the people. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everybody. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean at the end of the day, that's the decision that I'm going to have to make, but it doesn't mean that they're not valuable. And I've been thanked for that and appreciated for that, for giving people their voice and trying to find the areas that we can agree on and work on those things together. To get 2.9 million people to agree the sky's blue at the same time is not going to happen. So even within my own party, and I know within the Democrat Party, the same thing, there's division. There are people that don't agree with each other. And so we need to get to a point where we can still work together. And one of the issues that came up was with all the data centers and everything that unified both sides.
What was the other one? There was another one. There's the data centers. Everyone's starting to not like the flock cameras. They seem to be unifying people. Yeah. And then in your race, I feel like Ty Masterson's unifying some people.
Yeah.
I follow everyone, and I've been enjoying his comment sections and the unity that we've had.
So have
together. It's given me a lot of hope that we're like, we don't agree on a lot, but we agree. Not that guy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about you entering this race. You were the first one, weren't you?
Yeah. Back in November of 24. Yeah.
24. My goodness.
Yeah.
Did you have a suspicion that Ty was going to enter at that point?
Oh yeah. It was all laid out for me. I met with another higher up legislative member, and just in the effort to meet representatives and senators, and he had kind of laid out everything. He said, these are all the people that are going to be running. And there was a couple unknowns that came in, but the majority of the people that are in the race today or were in the race up until June 1st, those were exactly who he laid out. And I said, man, that's a lot of people. And maybe I shouldn't do this. And he said, you misunderstand. We don't want any of them. So do it. He said, I'll never be able to publicly endorse you. I'll never be able to publicly say that. But that's the reality, because they're not able to get work done. They're not able to get work done in Topeka.
That's what I'm saying. I've been trying to explain to people that we at least need different Republicans, because these ones they could have done anything they wanted last session.
Yep.
And they didn't do it so that they could run on it still. And it's just so obvious to everybody now. And Ty is a bully, and he doesn't let people think for themselves, and it's just not good. And then there's bullies on the other side. There's
a couple other bullies.
Quieter. The bullies on the other side are a lot just less in your face about it, but they're sort of like Mean Girl about it.
Yeah, Ty's not the only bully in the Republican race.
Yeah, I know. I feel like he's the top bully, and then he's got little friends that follow him and look up to him.
No, I'm talking about candidates, but we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
The only problem with that bullying is I enjoy it so much, and I think it's hilarious. It's not what I would want in a governor.
Yeah.
So I definitely wouldn't vote for somebody that's doing things like that. But I think the whole online thing between the two of them is just enjoyable to me, and it's enjoyable to the Democrats. And
it's childish, yes.
Yeah. And then we have things on the other side that are probably very enjoyable right now to watch, just absolute public meltdowns online. And I'm just like, I don't care what policy position you have. If that's what you're going to behave like online, how are you going to handle the pressure of the actual job? Do you understand?
I said that. Yeah.
It's going to just get worse.
Yeah.
This is nothing.
Early on, my media company had said, we need to take over your social media because people are going to be mean to you and you're not going to want to read those comments. And I said, if I can't handle keyboard warriors in the comment section being mean to me, then I don't deserve the job, because it's going to be 50 times worse and they're going to be in my face. So
they're going to be in your email. They're going to be on your phone.
That's right. That's right. This is something that I think it's not only helped me because I've been able to stay engaged with people in a different way that these other guys are not. They're not engaging with the people on their pages. And it's made me answer tough questions. It's made me think through things. There are questions it doesn't matter how I answer them. I'm going to make half the people mad and half the people happy. And they're somewhat divisive questions. And they're things that I've talked about as well. We need to start getting away from those divisive questions that are meant to incite the division and fight and make people fight, and talk about things that will actually improve our lives in this state, and stick to those things. And we're always going to have things that we vehemently disagree with between Republicans and Democrats, and that's not going to go away, but it still leaves a whole lot of things that we can talk about. And that's what I said in my video about the data center issue, how unifying it was, is that this was actually an opportunity to sit down with someone that you may not otherwise ever have an opportunity to talk to and say, okay, we agree on this one thing. What else can we explore? What else we might agree on?
I've gone to several data center, 2 or 3 little town data center meetings that they have in their little high school gym.
Yep.
And they all look at me like, my husband stand out because he's very tall and he has a big beard. And then I don't know, I stand out to these they know who their people are, right? And when I have my phone out with my camera and I'm recording and all that. Yep. But when I first walk in, they are not people that I probably agree a lot with on a lot of things, but I sit there and I listened to their citizens, mostly high school teachers, people that were on council, just different people from the community who wanted to research data centers. And these people did the work and they researched. They got in, I think, 3 or 4 months at most, they became the town experts on data centers. Yeah. And they did a presentation, and every time I was so impressed with, so they do learn, they can know. They just have to know what the facts are, what the truth is.
That's right.
And then make a decision. They may still come to the same decision, but they need to know the facts, not feelings.
Yeah. And one of the problems we're facing is that people they don't know the right questions to ask, especially these companies, to get the correct answer. And that is causing problems.
They don't know enough to know if they're being given the correct answer.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
So and until we have the time to properly educate people on these things, I think let's just hold off for a second. I personally think that we have plenty of them for now. What are we continuing for legitimate uses of AI in the United States? Legitimate uses of AI, not making pictures of you and your dog and all that stuff. We have enough data centers in the country already for our needs. Why are we
over 4,000?
We've been building them for a long time. It's just now people know about them because it's coming to us. Why do we need to sell out our land in Kansas for data centers and our water and our air? There's better ways to build them that aren't that damaging, that they just take longer and cost more. Why don't we have those being proposed to us? Why do we have the worst possible options?
And we have foreign countries proposing.
Out-of-state businesses. Nobody building these data centers is Kansas people that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I think there is one that's trying to go into Wellington that is actually a Kansas owned, but it's a different kind.
Yeah, it's a little one.
It's a little one. And we've had data centers for years. They're in buildings, they're air cooled, they run everything that we utilize. That's not what these behemoth things are they're going to be detrimental for a number of reasons. But I think the issue that we're seeing is that these communities, as I've traveled, almost every single small town in this state is dying, is in
Yes.
some stage of dying, and they are so valuable.
Have you
But
been out to Plainville?
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
went and interviewed Mark Shakowitz in 110,
yeah,
and I met him in Hayes. And then afterwards, I drove out to Plainville and I took some
hmm
pictures. And it's so cute. And you can see that
hmm
they were trying and they got
yeah,
it half revitalized. And so I had a lot of conversations with him about that, about how, and I just talked to Taylor Moreland on Friday about
hmm
it too. She's in 7 and it's rural. And I was just like, these towns, when they die and the people go unincorporated, they are forgotten.
yeah.
They people
Well, even before they go in unincorporated, they're
well
forgotten.
yeah. But the
They
people
really
from the
are.
city don't seem to understand what that means. You
Yeah.
imagine losing all of your
Hmm.
local government.
Yep.
You have
Yep.
nothing. It all falls up to the county. That's your highest one, who's probably over there. And
Yeah.
then your state rep ain't anywhere near you.
Mhm.
They have to gather so much of it together. He lives halfway across the state. So
Right.
it's not good. And they're so cute and they're vital. And they talk about wanting getting visitors to Kansas. People
Yeah.
want to come to Kansas to see Kansas history, to get back
and
to that time.
and people want to come to Kansas to for the peace. I've been
Mhm.
told that quite a bit. It's a peaceful place to live, especially in our rural communities. And I would agree with that. Man, going into the difference between small town and large city is very apparent in just the way that everything works. When I would go even into county seats versus the other towns in a county, the even if it wasn't a large town by any stretch of the imagination, there's a whole different feel. I would go in somewhere to talk to somebody, and it was almost, some were very appreciative, but others were like, politicians come through here all the time because it's a county seat. But all the little towns, they were like, nobody's ever come in here. And even in the county seats, I could go into place. I was out in Sharon Springs, and they said, I came in the day before and just started going into the businesses and chatting with people. And the comment was made to me, the other guys that were here, the two that we've kind of referenced, they came in, did their event, and left. They did not talk to anyone else in the community. They did not engage with people. And that's what they do. They go to their safe spaces and with their safe group, and they do their thing, and then they leave. And often I was asked, where's your entourage? And I'm like, just me, just me. And they're like, I can't believe you're just out here roaming around all by yourself. And I said, look, first of all, nobody can keep up with me and my schedule, but I just want to go talk to people. And that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't translate the same. So I've walked into quilt shops and flower shops and hair salons and co-ops, and they're like, nobody's ever walked through those doors. And I said, well, and that's what's wrong with what we have going on in this state. Nobody's ever walked through the doors and talked with these people directly. And these people that I've run into in gas stations and where they meet for morning coffee, these are not the people that would go to those events. They just won't. They're busy, they're farmers, they've got
Those
work to
events
do.
all cost money,
Yeah, even the community
usually.
events, they wouldn't go to the community events that don't cost money, but they
Oh,
just wouldn't go. They
Wichita all cost money.
don't, yeah, yeah. In the bigger towns they do, and in the smaller towns they don't.
Good.
But they don't have time for that. Their kids are in activities.
Well,
They're
and they know they're not there to listen to them. They know they're there to be heard.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and they've heard them. They
yeah,
hear them online. They hear them. And that's why there's no point in these primary interviews talking about how you feel about the issues or any of that stuff, because
yeah.
it's all out there if you want to know that
Right.
information. I need to go over that at this point, right? And it's nobody is bringing them to the table, and it's a problem once on the both sides. Once they get up there, they're like, if you win governor, right, and you have a department that you feel needs to be moved to a different, like it's under another department, right, and then you move to another department in a whole nother building to move bucket of money from here to here, who are you going to bring to the table to discuss where it should go?
Yeah. Yeah. And those are a lot of the conversations that I've had because there are very smart, talented people in our state that are, I'll give this as an example. I'm a business owner. I know my business. I know how it functions. I know how it works, but I don't know the trucking industry. I don't know the agricultural industry. I know of it. I've been educated some, but I'm not in that day to day in the trenches actually doing it. And if I'm not willing to go talk with the people that are actually engaging in that day to day and that's their life, then I'm going to make a bad decision. And I can go to Topeka and say, man, this is going to be the best thing for them. It's going to be great. And they're back there going, you just screwed everything up. And so you have to engage with people who are actually doing the work to determine what it is that they are needing. And I think that's been done. Honestly, it's kind of part of the reason why lobbyists exist. But a paid lobbyist is paid to give one point of view and not to consider others. And I think that's a big flaw in that system, because there may be information that farmer isn't aware of that over here we could bring to them and connect and fix something in a different way that would actually improve things. But if you have a lobbyist going in there and you're not actually ever engaging with those people, you're
Well, the
just
people don't have lobbyists. We don't have lobbyists, really.
There are groups
But
groups that do that, but I'm talking about for specific things.
Yeah, I know, but a little bit we do have groups, but they still have
Yeah.
such individual needs. If you just want to lump every farmer together, even they don't all feel the same. I think, yeah, you need to talk to at least the heads of a department.
Right.
At least, maybe not get every single opinion of everybody in the department, but at least that have been there a long time. And the people that are working for the government that I know, whether it's the city or the county or the state, really care about their jobs, and they are dedicated to whatever the mission is, especially the heads that have been there 10 years.
Yeah.
And they don't really get paid. They could make so much more money in the private sector, but they are devoted to keeping an eye on our tax dollars. And they all understand that and respect it and do everything they can to be good stewards of our tax dollars.
Yeah.
And that's my experience with the people that work for the state of Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some areas that need to be looked at a little bit closer. I think you're a mess. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've been reached out to several times about how do I feel about state employees. And the reality of it is, until I get in there and I evaluate what has been going on and who's there and what's working and what's not, I'm not going to go out there and say, I'm going to do a clean sweep, because that's not true. Or I'm going to do this. I think that takes a level of scrutiny to understand how people have been functioning, how things have been functioning, and to come up with the right answers.
Well, I tell you, if you win and you ever want to put a team together to look for ways that things can be more efficient.
Yeah.
In our processes.
Yeah.
I would love to be on that team, because I have some ideas.
Okay.
And it's got nothing to do with getting rid of people. It's got to do with maintenance on buildings and things like that. It just ways that we are not.
How about empty buildings that we could be utilizing right now?
There's just so many ways that we can not just save money, but do a better job.
Yeah. New building. We don't need to build a new building every time we need to do something.
No, we have so many great, beautiful assets that are not being properly taken care of. And it makes me mad, because like when I go into the Capitol, that's the thing too. I feel like you might be this way. When I go into the Capitol, like just talking about it right now, I'm getting chills. I feel the power of that building. I feel the power of the decisions that are being made in there. And I just do not feel like the people that are in power in there right now respect that building. And it makes me very angry. Yeah.
It's very chaotic. And I was contacted by past legislators who were in the last legislative session in committee meetings trying to talk about things that were important to them. And I had one legislator come out and say, I don't even recognize that place anymore. It is such a place of chaos and division and fighting and punishment. And that right there is a huge waste of taxpayer dollars, because they have a limited amount of time to get the work done. And when it's spent fighting instead, and the power trips and everything that's going on. And I want to say that we do have some very good legislators.
There's a lot of them.
And they're very silent. It's the ones you hear about all the time.
It's 10%. I'm telling you, I have just decided that 10% of any large group of people are just jerks.
Yeah. And
It's the word
so,
I usually use, but I'm saying they are just not good people.
yeah, and they want to get work done. And I've had some representatives come to me and say, man, we really just hope you get through because we want to get some work done and we just don't feel like the way things have been going, we've been able to get that work done. And I've told people, I said, the biggest asset that I'll have as governor is the bully pulpit, to continue to call things out that shouldn't be happening and to hold people's feet to the fire and hold them accountable for making these decisions. And I've done some of that throughout my campaign. When we punish the entire state of Kansas because a bill didn't go through the way that they wanted it, and so they refused to hear other bills that might have helped, that's not taking somebody's parking spot away. That's not putting them in the basement in an office. That is retaliation directly against the people of the state. And those are the kind of things that need to stop.
And they're life and death decisions these people are making.
And a lot of times it's not, the legislators that I've put out there I know, read the bills. They don't just take their buddy's word for it or the lobbyist's word for it. They read the bills themselves. They understand them. They compare them to past bills and how that's going to affect past bills as well. If they pass this, what's going to happen back here? And those are the people that I look for that are really trying to do a very good job. And we do have some running right now that are not incumbents that I think will also do a very good job.
I don't know if you saw, but I think the last one came out today. Every single primary in the Kansas House.
Yeah.
They got better and better as I got to the end. But there's a lot of them on both sides. But yes, there are a lot of Republican primaries in the Kansas House right now. And there are a lot of good options out there. There's primaries at every level. I'm trying to think if there's not a Republican primary. I mean, there's certain Kansas houses that don't have them, obviously, but yeah. And so
we've got 5
this year.
Yeah, we've got 5 Board of Education spots open. All 5 that were up decided not to run again, which in that case,
unprecedented.
I don't know, but
for all of them.
I know that it was a case of that, again, they were not able to come to decisions.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be a positive shift without getting into the issues. I think there's a lot of things that need to be changed in our education system. We've lost focus of what the education system is for, which is to help kids be ready for adulthood so they can be productive citizens. And we've turned it into so many other things. And we need to educate kids. They need to be able to read, and they need to know how to do math. And as an employer, when I am hiring these people coming out of our public school system right now, and they can't spell, they can't read well, and they're struggling with math, and I have to teach them things, that's not productive for any business. And it ends up costing the business more money. It costs then the customer more money. And that's the wrong direction that we need to be going. And so
I think, like, education wise, I think it's important for kids to have extracurriculars in their life, but I do think that it would be better handled by, say, Parks and Rec. Remember when we used to have Parks and Rec? Then in the summer you could take all these fun classes and all this stuff. I think if we had better Parks and Recs departments that were affordable or sliding scale, where they could do their sports and do their arts and do all the things that they want to do outside of school, then if we could just focus school on the things that matter more, like how our government works.
We got to have them reading first.
I know. Reading, writing, arithmetic, all those things. But as you get into high school, and middle school, you can start teaching them other things, social things. There's a lot of classes I would rather a kid take than play sports or an art class.
Skills, because teaching them a skill,
intro to psychology, something. I'm just saying there are so many other things that they could learn that will make them just better citizens. Not maybe necessarily preparing them just to go out and be financially productive citizens, but just better informed, better citizens in general, better, not necessarily people, because that's a moral thing, but better informed of how things work, better informed of how humans work, things like that. It would be way more beneficial than a lot of other things. Thomas, who's over in 61, who talking about Republicans that need to win their primary, in my opinion, he had an idea and he was like, I think we need to, he's a teacher. He's like, we need to
Yeah.
take sports out of the schools. And I was like, oh, but if we took the sports out of the schools and made sure that they went to an organization like the YMCA does a wonderful job with their competitive leagues and stuff, or Parks and Rec, or wherever we wanted to put it, but made sure that it somehow still got the support it needed, because a lot of kids rely on sports for their college and it's recruiters. That process all has to be preserved. But it makes sense to me that they're not why how have the schools moved to a business of being sports teams and a business of those things.
No, I agree. I was just looking him up because I don't think I've met. I'm gonna
Robert
look and see if
Thomas.
I've met him.
I
Oh,
have
I've
an
met
interview
Thomas.
out there with him.
Yeah,
I had to do it in a restaurant because I
yeah,
had too much on my plate as a one woman shop here, because like you, I couldn't find anybody to help me
yeah,
do what I wanted to do, so I just started doing it. And
yeah.
that's what I'm
Doing it.
saying.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't
and
wait
I've
to
met him.
get out there. You got to just go. Sometimes you just got to go and do it.
Yeah, I met him at. I know he started following me a long time ago, and then I finally got to meet him in the last month or so. I finally got to meet him in person, so I was glad for that. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of the things that we do disagree on, maybe not necessarily you, but as a public at large, are not things that the legislator should even be dealing with. I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of people overstepping their bounds right now and taking over local authorities, taking over local school boards, making decisions
Yeah,
at the state level that should be left up to the local people.
yeah. I think there is some of that, but I think that also falls back to if it gets to the point where local aren't doing anything, then I feel like that's when the legislature feels like they're pushed to do something. And so
Well,
that's also where we need to not arrive at. We need to, again, help cities and counties work better. But there are instances where they have had to step in at the state level because nothing was happening and something needed to happen. And they gave them the time. And some of these things get worked on for years before they ever actually happen and before the state ever takes them up. And we may not hear about them locally. They all know what's going on, but it doesn't make the news until it hits the state level. And so then everybody's like, why the state step in on that? Because this has been going on for a while. And so if there is a point where I think that that's how they've arrived at that position, I just get tired of not being in anything being done that's productive and step in. Do I think it's right? I don't, but you know, I guess the tipping point is, where is that tipping point when you have communities that are struggling and they can't seem to get their local people to do what they're supposed to do? I there is a responsibility at some point to help. It's just a matter of, are we choosing the right time to do that?
yeah, I'm not talking about mandates and then not funding them, like required to do things and then not giving them money to do it, and then laws that just can't even be enforced.
Yeah, we have
What's the,
both of those things happening. So
what's the
yeah.
point of passing laws that you can't even enforce, or they don't have a plan to enforce them?
And that's something I've talked about as well. We have these laws on the books that are not being enforced, or they can't be enforced, and why are we doing that? And so I have talked about that, and that's again something I'll be looking at and going back to the legislature with and saying, what are we going to do about this? Because this, we just seem to legislate over legislature, and
Yeah, so every session it's just the same things when
yeah,
nothing
it's
gets
just
done.
band-aids, 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 instead of going back and saying what would actually fix this situation. And there are some issues that the hole has been dug so deep, there is not an easy fix. And I think we're gonna have to look for other alternatives at that point
I
to.
don't understand why in this country and this state in particular, we are adverse to just wiping it away and going back to the drawing board, because that is what we did. We were an experiment. We were the rebels. We were the ones that came out here and settled
Mhm.
the wild land. And that's what the thing, that's how they sell the country as well. So we did something no one had ever done before. So why can't we do that again? They have no faith in
Yeah,
they have no faith in themselves or the people. which is weird because I
Yeah.
have more faith in them, in the American people and the people of Kansas to do something that's never been done before than they do
Yeah.
in themselves.
I think that the reason why that can't be done is that there's so much out of state influence at this point and out of area. There's other factors that are stopping that
Yeah,
altogether.
I'm trying to make a some sort of defensible grading process for campaign finances, and how much came from out of state is a factor that
Yeah.
is a negative that will be
Yeah.
taking points off.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
unless
there,
your
and
family or something. I know at the Kansas House,
I
but
it's interesting,
corporations, PACs, things like that.
right? Because I was telling people, yeah, I'm the only one that hasn't taken PAC money. I haven't taken special interest money. I do have businesses that have donated to me, but they're Kansas businesses and they're well within their right to do that. But they're small. They're small businesses in towns. They're not massive corporations. And then I used to say I don't have any out of state donations except for somebody's mom in California gave me $20 and a friend of mine bought a $50 t-shirt and so they could wear it or whatever when they were in Kansas. And I stopped saying that because it was funny. I was doing another podcast and the lady said, "You're so honest. You just spent 5 minutes explaining your out of state donations." And she's like, "Nobody else would do that." And she meant it as a compliment, but because I do want to be transparent, I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, you said no out of state donations and look at that $50 over there."
Yeah,
But I started to say no large out of state donations. And
yeah.
we have seen the difference between my out of state donations of $50 here and there or whatever to thousands of dollars per person, full amounts, is that's a night and day, apples to oranges difference. And even the spending thousands of dollars out of state on your campaign fund makes absolutely no sense to me. You don't need to spend money out of the state to run a campaign.
Expensive out of state consultants or
Yeah.
consultant.
Hotels. Why are you campaigning outside of the state of Kansas?
I haven't looked at all
No.
that yet. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I have it. I have all of your stuff pulled up and I'm
Yeah.
putting it into spreadsheets and I'm going to
Yeah.
do some sort of report
Yeah.
probably tomorrow on the governor. I'm probably not going to get to the Senate with there's people paying attention to that
Yeah.
all the way up and down the line and analyzing their finances and all that. So
It's
just so many of them.
interesting. I'm gonna tell you, and you can add this to your bank of things. The 11 people running against Marshall in the events that I've been at where it's been both Republican and Democrat, I've only consistently seen one, and maybe the others a handful of times, and only three or four altogether. And the rest of the 11 I've never seen in person, never met, have no idea who they are, wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup. And so that's very interesting how they're choosing to spend their time and what are they doing? Mm-hmm. And I asked the same thing on the Republican side, where are you at? And a lot of my competition, I hate that word in this because anyways, but when it's become a thing that people ask me, how close are you to 100,000 miles? And now the other candidates have gotten up there and started to say, I've went 40,000 miles across the state. And I'm like, 95. I mean, there's no comparison in the amount of effort that I've put in to this race compared to the other candidates. And so it's been a joke. I'll have legislators, there's senators and representatives that'll come up and be like, man, how many miles is it now? Are you going to hit 100,000 before the 4th? And they're just really impressed with that because nobody has done that. Nobody's done I don't think that anybody's ever went town to town through this state. I know that like Joan Finney, somebody brought Joan Finney to me, and that's how she won, by going out into the public and talking with people. And I said, but I still don't think she went town by town. She went to probably all 105 counties and went to different places and just showed up at grocery stores. Bob Dole used to do the same thing, walk into grocery stores and just start talking to people.
But it's a photo op.
That's what made him real.
Yeah.
That's what made him real.
And I mean, it's more than most of them did, but it's a low bar.
Yeah. It actually should be a very low bar.
Yeah.
really, to go walk in and have conversations with people should be the lowest bar to meet. And yet it does not happen. And so it's become the high bar, which is, it's absolutely astounding. That's the high bar to go do what I did. And when I told people, I don't know any other way than hard work. That's just who I am. And would it have been easier to sit in my house and sit behind commercials? Do you know how ineffective I would have felt no matter what happened? Do you know how
You don't want to win that way.
unauthentic?
Yeah.
That's not who I am as a person. I've always been somebody that got into the trenches and worked alongside people as a leader in my own businesses. And
I really was impressed with the way
sense.
you handled. I don't think I got too out of pocket in my comments when I was talking to you, but other people did. But just even my level of pushback is easily shakes people because they're weak. No, I'm just saying I'm not that bad. And then my friends get in there that are that bad, that just don't hold back at all. And I'm like, see, I'm not that bad. But the way you responded to all of us, and never personally attacked anybody and never called anybody any names is impressive. And I don't know, I didn't intend it to be a test, but it ended up being something to where I was like, at least she can handle it, right?
Yeah. Well,
you have a thick enough skin for it. You're in it for the right reasons. And I think when you have two people that are coming together, it's almost like parents that are co-parenting. They obviously don't get along because they're different. But at the end of the day, if everything they're doing and their intentions is for the best thing for the child, and that's really truly what they're caring about, they're going to do a good job, and they're going to be able to come together on the things they truly don't agree on.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, as governor, my job will be to serve all Kansans, which is why I've said that from the beginning. But I've also, and I've had Democrats that told me they were going to switch parties to vote for me in the primary. And I said, that's great, but I want to have an understanding with you first. And I said, that understanding is that you have to be okay with switching parties to vote for me in the primary. I don't have to be okay with it. I don't have to be the one that makes that decision. And you have to be okay that we're not going to agree on everything, that I'm not going to change my ethics or my morals or my viewpoints for anybody, Republican, Democrat, anybody. I'm not going to change who I am, who I was.
Sell out.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell out. Yeah. And I said, so you have to be okay with that, in knowing that we're probably not going to agree on everything, but that we can still work together on those things. And because that is it. And people come at me all the time and they're like, are you really for all Kansans? Yes, I am. But it doesn't mean I have to agree with you. But it doesn't mean I want you to suffer, or I don't want to hate you. I don't want to see harm come to you. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make your life better without sacrificing my beliefs and my morals in the process, or my ethics. And that's important to me. There's ways to do it that can create the ability for us to have better lives without having to get into all the things that we're divided over. There's so many other things we can work on together.
Yeah. I agree. And so we'll just wrap up. But thank you so much. I know we've been working on trying to get this to happen.
I know.
It's just been between my schedule and your schedule, because I'm also all over the place. I love when people online accuse me of being a keyboard warrior or why don't you go out and do something about it? I'm like, bro, you need to look at my videos and my Substack before you tell me I ain't been anywhere. I've been all over this state. I've been more places in this state than most of these candidates running for a state race, and talk to more people. So please do not think, and I think that it's something that I have tried to foster with the other side, is that we may not agree, but hopefully they can at least respect me, and we respect each other. I respect you as a candidate and a business owner. And also, I just think it would be really cool to have a Wichita governor. I don't think we've really had one. There's been people
we have had one. I looked it up because I wasn't sure either, and it was a long time ago.
Like the 50s.
Yeah. We have had a governor from Wichita, so I would not be the first that. I would be the first female Republican in the
first
state.
Female Republican, and so I'm like, that's the thing too, is let's give where I work, there's a hall that has all the governors from the beginning, the pictures, and it's just, man, oh, woman.
And then all of a sudden,
and I'm just like, we see a little bit of.
I've said this from the beginning. I said, look, every time we've put a male Republican against a female Democrat, we lose. And I said, that's factual. And to me, it's brought, identity politics. I said, no, I don't think that's it. I think we're putting bad candidates against a female. You put it, let me put it this way. So I don't want to seem sexist in any way, but
I know.
When you put a career politician looking male that has whatever, the slick back hair, the whatever, okay, you put that against a softer feeling person. So even if they're dressed in their power suit or whatever, women are perceived as kinder and more gentle, more willing to listen, more willing to consider. And I think that is why. And that's not actually true or fair. That is, in a way, that is identity politics. You're looking at the outward features. There's some women that are tough as nails and you don't want to mess with them. But I think that's what happens in the psyche is I think this woman we're going to have a better chance of
I feel safer with this person.
There you go. That's a good word. That's actually a good word. And so I think that's why it happens. And you can't discount that. Whether you could have the best.
Whether you agree it should be happening or not, doesn't make it not true. Like whether I agree that people need to have nice teeth for people to trust them, I don't agree on that. But that's psychology. No. That's what people are doing. And until we change that, that's the game we're playing. And so they will literally vote for somebody because they have kind eyes. I'm saying like,
you're absolutely right. Yeah. And I just think that's what we've gotten. We've put the wrong person up to run. And it's been because it's been the pick from the beginning, the person shoved out in front. And that's the people of our state have not really had. Yeah. And they've not really had their true options presented to them, as evidenced in my campaign. True options were not presented.
Nope.
And over and over. And I fought for every shred of being seen and forcing that out there. And that's not fair to the people of this state. They deserve to know who they have available to vote for.
I'm just saying, I would love for you and Cindy Holscher to win and to see the two of you, a real competition.
It would be.
Two very kind, very genuine people in it for the right reasons that just have different ways of thinking about things. It would be a true test of what really the state feels, right? Because you two are, I don't want to say equal on so many ways, but you are. And so you're both doing the work, you're both doing the effort, you both really are trying to listen, and you're out there all over the place. But you have different ways of thinking, and it would be a real test to see. And I would love to watch your guys' debates as you stay topical and intelligent and informed and on topic. It would be just a delight. So I really, truly hope that you win and Cindy Holscher wins, and then may the best candidate win.
There you go.
Whoever the people of Kansas want in the most majority win.
Yeah.
As it should
be. I agree. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad we finally got to talk.
Yes.
That's been great. The schedule was just out of control there for a while.
And I'm just I normally break these up and all that, but I'm probably just going to edit it a little bit and then put the whole thing out there instead of breaking it into chunks. Because there's really, we are both people that are kind of going all over the place. So try to keeping it on one topic per little video.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But I'm going to edit it and put it out right now.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And good luck on Tuesday. I'll be watching.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.